Who knew we were going to get to a second podcast?
Episode 2. I my mind always says, and we're live, but we're not really live. I wish we were, though.
We're kind of live right now.
Oh, we're live now,
Coming to
but
you
it won't be live.
from Bohemia.
New York.
The Final Third Podcast Studios in a basement.
It is an epic studio.
It's a great studio. Quick shout out to everybody who watched episode number 1. Some quick stats on that for everybody listening. 40,000 views across all platforms. Who would have thought?
It's impressive.
55 hours of watch time on YouTube alone from the first episode. 60 plus downloads Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That's not bad, guys. So definitely thanks to everyone who listened. Thanks to everybody who watched. And we're going to try and keep powering these out and see what the reaction's like.
Just to start, I put socks on today.
So we got to address the scandal that's been going on. All the people talking about your feet. What's
stinky white pasty feet?
What's your response to that, Mr. Eddie Hackett?
I mean, I think I have great feet. But if people are upset about my bare feet, then I'll wear some beautiful socks instead.
He's gone full
Come
on
on,
American.
show the world, dude. Show the world what's going on here. Come on.
Still no shoes, though, for no apparent reason. Why not just put some shoes on?
Look at these amazing socks.
Everybody has a pair of American socks, man. Come on.
I do not have a pair of American socks.
It's because you're Portuguese. Nah.
Okay, we don't have to go back to that. All right, so definitely thanks to everyone who watched episode 1. We're here again for episode 2. Didn't think we'd get this far, but we're here now. So obviously today's a big topic. It's a very, very broad subject, but we're going to try our best to, I guess, convey it in a way that's easy and mostly targeted to parents in this space. And that's tryouts. We are... Now this guy is going to pull these things apart. It's May 1st today. Happy May.
Wow, it is.
May 1st.
In New York, that's tryout season.
That is tryout season. It's hard. So we are definitely in the heart of that for everyone in our region, that being Long Island, New York. So basically, we want to talk about a bunch of things today regarding tryouts. But realistically, when we get into this topic, it's always a first thought process, right? Why does it feel so nerve-wracking for these people, for parents and players? Should it be that, nerve-wracking of an experience? No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Why do people feel that way, though? Why? What's the feeling behind that? You guys are 2 parents, 2 soccer players, or a couple of soccer players, actually.
I think it's different for us. I say this all the time. Like, we live it every single day, and we know so much about the ins and outs of all of it that we don't stress at all. So once you've been through the process so many times as a coach, as a director, dealing with parents, talking, then you start, it's just a process, and the process happens over the year, regardless of just the next few weeks or the month. So I think parents have to understand that it should not be stressful. If you just do a bit of research, sit back, why is your kid playing soccer? You keep asking yourself that question, then you could probably figure out the tryout process, where you want to be and what you want to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important thing for me.
What do you think?
Love the answer.
Yeah.
All right, episode over.
That's it.
Done.
That's
Easy.
done.
It's just, people find it really stressful, and the stressful level goes up because there's so many clubs out there, right? So you can choose to go and try out for one club that you're in right now, or you can choose to try out for 10, 12, 15. And the more you try out for, probably the more stressful it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
And the more confusing it's going to be, and
I think
you start to second guess yourself.
if you bring it back to the player, the more tryouts your kid goes to, the more confused your kid's going to be as well.
Yep. And the more different things you're going to see, where you're not even sure what are the good things, what are the bad things, going into all those processes. Yeah, you want to make it as least right. This is about the player. The player is trying out. The player is playing at a club. you don't want to make it a thing where, you know, the player is stressed, the player is nervous, the player is antsy about what's going on. It's youth soccer, you know?
Yeah, well, it's about the player, but the parents have to pay, the parents have to drive, the parents have multiple kids that they have to manage. So it's about the player, but then it's also about the family making the best decision for the player and what they can actually do for the player to get to the level the player wants to get to.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of stress value is put on the player by parents. That's the honest truth. Is if you're calm and you don't build the stress level, your kid doesn't see that it's stressing you out. It's a tryout season.
That's the same in everything in life,
yeah,
isn't it?
exactly.
If you're a stressful parent, your kid's probably going to be stressed. So I am not a stressful parent, and I don't stress about anything in life. It just, for me, it is what it is.
Nothing.
So that's just me personally. I don't.
Stress is about people making fun of his feet online.
Yeah, that's really stressing me out. Can you tell how stressed I am? I don't know why people don't like my feet. I've got very nice feet.
Oh, man, that's funny. Yeah, no,
it wasn't the time or the place.
No? I thought it was perfect.
Podcast.
Yeah,
Feet
but
out. First episode. Like.
Yeah, but I'm chilling. I'm chilling.
it
I'm
could
always
go
chilling.
either way. It's either these guys are really chill and relaxed, or this is a weirdo on episode 1 of his new podcast.
Either way, I don't care. So it doesn't matter.
Strange football.
It's what it is. Yeah, no, I mean, it's such a difficult thing to, I guess, get people to be on the same page about. I think what a lot of parents may not even, you know, think first is to just, in this process, go to your club and ask these questions. And I think, right, one of the biggest questions we always talk about in our everyday, you know, work cycle is, what's your club's philosophy, especially during this period? Like, what does that even mean? What's a club philosophy from guys like us that work in it every day?
Yeah, I think parents need to try and create a checklist for themselves to understand the tryouts and then understand what you want to get out of the tryouts. Because then you can organize your thought process as to, why am I trying out? Where am I trying out? And if I do try out and I get an offer, do I want to accept it? Do I want to stay where I am?
So what does that tryout checklist look like? I mean,
the most simple question for me is, why is your son or daughter playing soccer? And then what are you trying to get out of it? Short term, long term? Are you playing, like, younger age groups generally? Friendships, right? But for some people, younger age groups, it's about absolutely trying to get to the elite level as fast as you possibly can. So you need to know who you are. Which side are you on? Are you trying to do it immediately? Are you happy just pacing yourself and just going through it and trying to get better over a period of time? Because that's two different philosophies from a parent standpoint. And then you flip that to the club side, like, go and do your research on the club, right? Who is the club? How established are the club? What leagues do the club play in? Who are the coaching staff of the club? What are the facilities of the club? What does it cost to play at the club? Is that real in my budget, in my family situation? So that checklist, once you go through that checklist, you can start to organize it from the more of the elite level down to the grassroots level and the community level. And then, where do you want to be, and what are you trying to get there?
For me, there's also there should be a level of realism and honesty as a parent to say, do I know how good my kid is? Right? What environment are they in now? What league do they play in? What level do they play at? Like, don't have an expectation of going to a tryout. You play at a really local level right now, and they have a lot of fun, and maybe your kid excels at that level. And then you go to a club that plays in one of the national leagues, and your expectation is you're going from here to here. Like,
but I think many don't know, right? So,
but that's where you got to educate yourself,
right?
And how do you educate yourself?
Again, make a checklist.
Make a checklist, and then do your research on clubs. I don't think it's that difficult to do research on clubs. Like, look at their social media, look at their website. Like, I think there should be, and especially if you want to go up levels, there should be a level of professionalism in everything they do. Like, if you don't have a professional social media account, or you don't have a professional website as a club that's playing at a high level, like, that's the first point of contact for a lot of these parents. And what does that show a parent? Shows a level of professionalism.
Of course.
So I think research isn't that difficult to find.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're willing to go and try out somewhere, you should try and educate yourself as much as possible on the club itself. What level do they play at? How good is their communication? And that can come down to social media. And like, is the information that they're sending out relevant to you, right? Is it relevant to the player and the parent? Or is it fluff? Is it just, we're the best and we're great? Or is it, does it tell you how the club works, right? What is their vision? What is their mission? Like, that's research that you should be doing before you even think about going to a tryout. And if it doesn't align with what you want out of soccer, then cross that off your list. That's not a club that I'm going to go and try out for. Right? And then there's other ways to research. Ask people.
Yeah.
Right? Call the club.
But that's what I was going to just say next, right? Like, you talk about the level of research and the information you could find beforehand, but is a method of that just reaching out directly to the club and going, hey, I want to know this, and this to better prepare my kid and our family to know if we want to come here and play.
I think another thing that I would always take advantage of is almost every club out there will bring players in for an evaluation before a tryout.
Correct. Training you're talking about. Yeah.
Come in. Like, I don't know of any club that's going to turn around and they get an email or a call from a parent that says, we've signed out for tryouts. Is there any opportunities to train before?
Yeah.
And most clubs are going to turn around and say, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to, like, from my perspective, that you're never going to throw somebody you don't know into the top level. You're going to put them into a level where you think you can evaluate them. And then as a parent, don't be offended by honesty. Like, my job as an evaluator of players is going to be to tell you where your kid fits right now.
Yeah, but then you've got to believe that the environment you're going into are going to be honest with you, right? Because
you got to want the honesty.
Well, hold on. So it's a pay-for-play business, right? It's a pay-for-play environment that we're a part of. So some clubs will just be like, listen, yeah, your son's amazing, your daughter's amazing, come in. Yeah, oh yeah, we'll get you to that level. Oh yeah, we have that pathway. Oh yeah, right, okay, so that sounds amazing, and you get suckered into
right?
it.
That's the fluff he's talking
that is
about.
The fluff, because the fluff is that, yes, clubs want to establish and they want to get more players, and you right? So, okay, like, that's where I think as a parent, you've got to do your research and ask some questions, because then you can figure out who runs that club, what is their reputation, how long have they been around, and if there's a consistency of feedback that you get. Like, I don't know if anybody's perfect, but you should be able to find out if that club is pretty honest about what they do and how they do it.
You should get a feeling, a vibe from...
Yeah, you should be able to get that from the community or from the area you're from, right?
In our
We are Long Island, New York, right? We've been here 20 plus years. Okay, so go ask around. What do you think of that guy? What do you think of that coach?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that club? Why? Right? Then you can start to go back through your checklist and figure out, where am I trying to get my kid? And what environment is going to give them that opportunity?
Yeah. In our area, there are new, fancy, shiny clubs every single year. And if we go over the last 15, 20 years, there's generally a shelf life for those new fancy clubs. So how long has a club been around?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that's important.
It's a great first question.
Right? How long has the club been around? How long have the staff been working at that club? Right? Because if there's a large turnover of staff, then there's probably something wrong with the club. Right? If it's new this year and they're going into a new league, like, is that a risk? Right? Like, the unknown is generally a risk.
Mm-hmm.
And then if something has been around a long time, there's probably a reason why it's been around a long time. And there could be a variety of reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's a local club, it's been around for a long time because it's a local club, and there's always going to be local clubs and places to go and play grassroots soccer, which is great. And then from a higher level, it's hard to sustain. Like, it's hard to build a club at a high level and sustain the level and keep coaches and keep consistency. And so I think, again, just going back to that research piece of everything that you're going to look at, you should have a whole lot of information before you even turn up day one. Right? It shouldn't just be, I'm just going to go turn up. Okay, know nothing about it.
Well, it's also sometimes you listen to parents or you hear conversation. It's like, oh, your son or daughter's going trying out over there. Okay, like, but what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you worried about that?
Too many followers.
Right, like, don't be a follower, because if you're a follower, you're not making up your own mind anyway. You're doing it because other people are doing it.
Not enough shepherds.
Right? I would never follow you two anywhere.
We're here. We're in your basement.
Yeah, but you're in my basement. You followed me. Yeah, there you go. No, but again, right? Like, why? It goes back to it again. Very straightforward. Why are you trying out? What do you want to get out of the game of soccer? And then try and map it out. It's like, why wouldn't you do that in anything in life? Why are you just jumping around? Why are you chasing something? Do you know what you're chasing? But most people don't know. So it goes back to what you said before, right? Okay, yeah, educate yourselves. You've got multiple levels of parents, right? You've got parents who've played the game, parents who've played the game at this level, this level, this level, this level. So they might think they know a certain amount, right? But how much changes every year? Because we live it and it changes every year.
There's 1,000 pyramids.
Right. But then you can generally organize it by, some kind of national platform, some kind of regional program, and then you got local programming, right? So maybe you can organize it that way. Mm-hmm. Then again, now you're doing your research, right? So there might be a parent who their kid is in a town club, right? And their kid is decent at the level they're at, and they're thinking, my kid's amazing. They might not have played. So they're going, my kid's unbelievable. Whereas we'll look at them and go, sorry about that, I don't think so. Because they'll come into a bigger environment, and then that environment now gives you a reality check. So maybe a tryout is important, just to go try something and see. And then you can tie it into your research and then tie it into what you want.
I think
I think that's okay, right? Like, go check something out, because otherwise you might never know. So that helps with the research.
Question for me, if I ask the club as well, is like, what is the tryout policy? Like, why is there tryouts at your club? Right? It's a legitimate question. Everybody does it, but why is there a tryout? And what is the club trying to accomplish in tryouts? For us, and I think the more important thing broadly is like player retention. Like, why? If I asked a club, what is their tryout policy? Oh, we're going to bring in as many players as we can. We want new players. We're going to take as many new players as we can. I want the answer that, well, our priority is the players who play in our club, right? And do you know what your retention rate is? Right? Ours is about 85% right now. 85% of players stay from year to year, which we think we like that number. And our priority going into tryouts is telling all of these players, hopefully before tryouts, realistically, that this is where you're going to fall. That's our tryout policy. It doesn't mean that we're not going to bring new players in. We're not going to give new players opportunities. But if you do come into our club, you've got to prove yourself. These kids have already proved themselves at whatever level they're at. Yeah. Or they've exceeded expectations and then there's movement. Or they haven't played at the level that they need to play at to stay on the team or in the environment that they're in right now. Obviously, that's the tougher internal conversation from a tryout perspective. But what we teach specifically is, again, it just comes back to honesty. And you've got to be brave enough as a coach to be able to stand in front of the parent and say, your kid struggled this year. These are the right reasons why your kid struggled. And in our opinion, the best environment for your kid to be at is possibly the level below that they're at right now. Yeah. And that's okay. And then, talk about all the time, the parent then has a decision to make. Are they honest with themselves? Do they trust the people that they're with? If they chose the right environment in the first place, right, and they have trust in the institution that they're in, the people that are within that club, if they trust those people, then an honest parent is going to sit with you and obviously be disappointed. It's okay. But they should get themselves to a place where they realize, you know what, maybe my kid is better in another environment. It doesn't mean they can't get back there. No. But it means that they can...
It's a reflection.
It's a reflection. They have to go and reflect and say, okay, well, if my kid, just use for an example, if my kid's an MLS Next homegrown or an ECNL player, and then they say, well, we can't play at this level, right? It's a struggle right now. Well, then MLS Academy or ECNL RL might be the right place.
Well, at least at that point, that parent has gotten an honest assessment.
100%.
Straightforward, no fluff,
No
where,
messing about.
you know, a lot of the things we talk about, we repeat, but at the same time, it's like nowadays you see and hear so much of that fluff, and the idea of sitting down or getting on the phone or whatever it is and just being completely honest and upfront about the player with the parent, regardless of what the decision the parent makes, at least at that point, they've gotten that. And, you know, go and talk to the clubs that you're trying out.
I think generally for us, we'll find it's probably 50-50. 50% of the time, the kid will leave. The kid and the parent will leave, in my mind. And 50% of the time, they'll reflect and probably stay.
Well, so then it goes back to your club philosophy, right? Like, communication's important. So
important.
If you're all coaches are different. All coaches have different strengths. All programs have different strengths. But if you can communicate clearly with the process, the child, the environment, and try and paint the picture.
The parent.
Yeah, well, to the parent.
Mm-hmm.
Then, again, to the parent, to the player, depending on their age, what do they understand? What do they understand about the experience they've had? Where have they come from? Where have they been? And then it goes back to it saying, if that communication is clear, then the retention rate can be higher, because then you're explaining to people that you're part of this journey. Yeah. And then it goes back to it. What do you want to get out of it? Can I get out of it what I want to get out of it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, there's a realization at some point to say, right, I want to be a pro. At what point am I going to go accept the fact that maybe I'm not going to be a pro? Right? Okay, do I want to go to college? What level of college do I want to go to, and why? And can I play there? Okay, I'm a high school soccer player. What does my high school soccer team look like? Is that what I want? Is that what I want to get out of it? Right? Or am I just purely playing for fun? I want to be around my friends and I enjoy it, and that's cool as well. Checklist.
I think a key to the trial process as well for me, if you're in a club and you're surprised that you're moving down a level, like there's something that's gone wrong there.
Correct.
Right? And generally that's on the club side.
Is that a communication thing?
100%. It shouldn't be that you have 2 tryouts at your club. I get through 2 tryouts and then I find out that I'm moving down a team. That shouldn't happen. Should be communicated before that there is either you are moving down or there's a possible chance, because of where you fall on the roster and your performance over the last year.
Correct.
That there is a good chance that you're going to go down a level or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it shouldn't. If it comes as a surprise, it means the club's not doing their job properly. That's one. 2, if it comes as a surprise and they've still done their job properly, now it's really an unrealistic parent. And you're going to get some of those.
We've been through it, and I'm sure all clubs have, where you've made mistakes, right? Mistakes. It could be a mistake on the player necessarily, but it's usually a mistake on the communication side, right? And you have to learn from that. We have to learn from that. They have to learn from that. You're not trying to mess the kid around. You're not trying to mess anybody around. You don't know the numbers. So we focus on, let's say, or any club, you'll focus on probably player retention. You will look at new players to try and improve a roster, strength and depth, and so on. But if you're just butchering teams every year and you're starting from scratch, you probably don't have a process. So then you're winging it. So
I think most teams, it really should be 90% the same every year, right? There's going to be that fluctuation of some kids are going to quit soccer. That's okay. Some people are going to move on because they don't like the environment. That's okay as well. Sometimes sometimes it doesn't need to be extremely negative. It's just not a good fit. Mm-hmm. That can happen, right? It could be that you coach a kid and you know what? The kid just doesn't relate to you. That's okay. Mm-hmm. It's not your fault. It's not really the kid's fault. It's just how things work out. So that's not a good fit. That 10% for me of movement, like, again, go look at your club and see, like, how consistent are the rosters? Because if they're not consistent, there's a problem.
Yeah.
I think going back to, philosophy of the club, the parent, right? So tryouts. It's, you don't, this again, stress, right? Like it doesn't need to be stressful. You got to try and take a deep breath. And it shouldn't be, I'm trying out again. Every year I have to start again. No, you're not doing that. That's not what tryouts are about. And if people tell you that, they're crazy. That's it. It's a case of the next year comes around and I evaluate, right? You got to start with yourself. You evaluate yourself. It's tryout period. Okay. Do I feel good about where I'm at? Do I enjoy the club I'm at? Is the coach good? Is the coach staying? Is the environment going to drastically change much? Mm-hmm. Right? Evaluate all of that. If it's not been a great year, why? Is that something you've done? Is it do you not trust the coach anymore? Do you not trust the program anymore? Those things become a little easier to understand.
Yeah, and
then you're trying to navigate.
If you don't trust the program as a whole, you don't trust the coach. You shouldn't be at that club 100%. It shouldn't be a debate. It should be, this isn't the right place for me.
Yeah.
And I think just going back to it as well, more transparency in terms of like, who are the staff, right? Is there a list of staff on a website, right? Do you know who's going to be the specific coaches of certain teams? Like, is it publicized that this is what it's going to look like?
Yeah, but we talk about that as a club, right? So we reflect and go, some of our coaches are different. You can't have cookie cutter, every single coach is the exact same person. Yeah. They're going to treat everybody the exact same way. Mm-hmm. But over time, like we rotate our coaches for that reason, right? Because we want our players to be adaptable. And we try and explain that all the time. What that means is your kid is not going to play for one coach their whole career. It's just not real. So if you do move to a new coach and you move to a new club, what is that club's playing philosophy, player development philosophy? What are you trying to do?
It should be club-based, not coach-based.
Right, correct. But that's the hardest thing to get to, right? And we've experienced that. Most clubs probably you can have a beautiful philosophy, a beautiful curriculum, beautiful methodology, and you can talk about all those things on paper. Now you've got to actually execute them, right? So we're 20 years in now. It is an evolution of a club. It's an evolution of a process. But you should get better over time. Right. And again, that longevity of doing something means you get it clearer every year. Right. So as a club director, I know I get better every year and I learn every year and I try and make it better every year on every aspect of what we do. To then clear it up for the parents, who we are, what we stand for, why we do it a certain way.
Yeah. I think also going on a staffing perspective, why is there a change in staff? Right? Because for us, a lot of change in staff is because we have got to a point where we understand where our staff fit best. I coach juniors and seniors. That's where we think as a staff, I'm best. Right?
Yeah, I watched you with young players. It's very true.
At his best, or there's no choice?
It's a long time ago, guys. But we have coaches who specialize in 7v7. We have coaches who specialize 9v9. We have coaches who specialize going from 9v9 to 11v11 because it's a pretty difficult
transition.
Yep.
We have people who are good at the younger age groups in high school. We have good coaches who are the first few years of 11v11. And generally, they're pretty specific.
Yeah.
And that's where we've got to. So ask questions about why are staffs in certain age groups, or why is there a change in a staff member? I think that's important. And it doesn't mean, for me, from a coaching perspective, there's also coaches who can cross over age groups.
Yeah.
There's people who can do a 9v9 team and transition to an 11v11 team. It's not cut and dry, but I also think there's, like Eddie said, there's a time perspective on this. We like 2 years. We like kids having a coach for 2 years. It doesn't mean
3.
It doesn't mean a coach isn't going to have them for 3 years.
Yeah.
But,
well, I think, right, you look at education and you don't follow your teacher all the way through school, and the teacher doesn't stay with the kids all the way through school for a reason, right? So that goes back to player development, human development. I'm sorry. In the fact that, again, right, so we know our players are going to play, potentially they want to play high school soccer as well as club soccer. All right, well, your high school coach and their style might be totally drastic to what we do. You have to be able to adapt. You've got to be able to go into an environment and go, right, what do I get from that environment? What can I learn from that environment? Can I piece that together to be better every day? Then I go, right, Eventually I want to go play in college. Okay, different coach, different environment, different style. Might move my position.
Yeah.
I have to be able to adapt to be able to survive. So then you look at, a club and go, if you play for a club and one coach your whole youth career, then you go into high school and you go into college and now you are stressed out because you're in a totally different environment. You're playing for a different coach who talks to you differently, treats you differently, and now you cannot handle it. And then you're like, I'm out, don't want to do it anymore. Yeah. Well, you probably haven't, gone through, and I think again, like some people might think changing clubs is going to help that then, right? Okay, so now it goes back to the tryout process of saying, do I believe in what I'm a part of, and think about the short term and the long term.
I think as a parent and a player, like embrace change, right? Like don't be scared of change. Like, and I mean that from a coaching perspective. Don't be scared that a kid's been with a coach for 2 or 3 years and there's.
But it's hard though, right? Because it goes both right. If you're in a terrible environment that you're really unhappy about, then you're going to try and make a change. But you could be in a great environment. And then you don't want to change because a force is coming to, a change happens and go, hold on a minute, but I'm in a really good place, right? And now all of a sudden that changes, right? But I think we compare it to professional soccer, right? So we compare it all the time because that's what our eyes see. So you watch a professional and you go, oh, that coach for that team and they've done really well. Well, yeah, but they're adults, right? This is youth. Yeah. And on the youth side, you have to teach a kid that you're going to go through changes and you have to embrace changes and you have to learn from every environment you're a part of.
Of course.
But hopefully the club that you're at can map that out so that you don't have to leave and you don't have to bounce around and you do see the long-term goals of what is in front of you. Yeah. I think that eliminates the stress. And if a club aren't doing that well enough, then you should ask those questions.
I think speaking to the stress too that you just mentioned, like, as far as an existing player at a club that's been there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, right? Our message has always been very clear, right? Like that entire, you're talking about a seasonal year. That entire year is that kid's tryout. If you're an existing 100%. Player, so you're being evaluated throughout the entire year. It's not just come May, here's your new evaluation, right?
Yeah, we get asked that question all the time.
I think that's where you solely if you're a person who's happy at a club and you're trying out at your club only. That shouldn't be stressful.
No.
Right? It should be an understanding of your kid has been in that program for a full year. Their performance in those 2 days or 3 days, however many tryouts there are, does not reflect on where they're going to fall the next year. They could have the worst day of their life. We've seen them for a year. Yeah. It's okay.
And sometimes more. More.
Then on the flip side of that, you've got, I get questions all the time. I hear parents ask it all the time and say, I've been with the club for 4 years. My kid's never moved up. Okay.
It's an easy conversation.
Right. But the expectation is sometimes that if you do stay with a club, you will automatically grow and you will make it to the top of the pyramid.
So what's the answer to that, parent?
The answer is that's not true. Right. You could, it doesn't mean, I think again, they try and tie it in to say, I'm going to pay your club this much money each year to make my player better. Yeah, absolutely. But then there's an absolute reality that if your kid might not be able to achieve that goal.
For parents attending tryouts, right? What does a tryout look like from a logistical standpoint? Communication wise, visually, like what are we hitting on? What are the more important things? Like,
biggest thing for me is that a tryout, it has to be a game, right? Because it's a short period of time. We've made the mistake in the past where we've tried to do drills and activities.
Yes, we have.
Right? And gone, we want to, see the kid's technical ability. So let's put them in this environment, right? But a kid's technical ability without a tactical decision, without a game day activity feel is an absolute waste of time. So
considering you don't have a lot of time.
Correct.
Right. So the kids need to play. The coaches need to evaluate them in that playing environment.
You're basically saying, immediately we want to put these kids into a game realistic situation where they're playing. And that's where we're going to fast track and see as quickly as possible where the kids fall.
Absolutely.
And break it down by level as well. Like you're going to have level within your club like for us, like say you have 5, 6 fields, however many fields you have of who's playing, whether it's, even if it's 11v11, you might be going smaller sided, you might be going to 9v9 or something like that, but as many fields as you can have. And it should be structured. Like it's not throw everybody in the pool and say, oh, let's see who sinks and swims.
Yeah.
This is the levels that we have at the club. So if you have ECNL, you have regional league, you have EDP, whatever you have, it's split like that initially with all the kids that you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you get a clearer idea of who are the new players coming into that environment. And now you try and filter those kids from the initial part of the tryout into the level that you think that they can compete at. And then you watch them in that environment.
Yeah, you're wasting your time. And this is for clubs as well, right? Because we've been through it. But you're wasting your time if you're going to try and start from scratch every single tryout. So I think the parents sometimes think, my kid's going to go for a tryout, right? Mm-hmm. And the first thing on the field is that all the kids are mixed up and then they'll, we already organize that.
Yeah. It's not
efficient. It has to be efficient in a way that you try not to miss any kid. And our tryouts are big, so we need to be super organized, super efficient. We have to have eyes on the fields, and then every 10 to 15 minutes, we have movement across fields and across levels. But we do not go in blind.
Yeah.
So we know our player pool. We know the kids who've registered. We know where they're coming from, so we have an idea of their level. So again, we're not wasting time. We go, right, you've already played at that club. You've already played at that level. Now I go, okay, we're going to bring you into this environment as quick as we can. And it's sink or swim then, do you do a good job? And it's hard on one day because a kid might have a bad tryout if they're a new kid coming in. And that's why for us, we always tell people, like, if you want to join the club, there is going to be a process that you might have to come in and prove yourself. And that's honest as well. Like, we're not going to lie to you. There's no guarantee on anything. But you have to come in and you have to prove to us your level of your commitment, your dedication, your expectations, and so on. And over a period of time, you might have to win us over.
Yeah.
And that is part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
So the more, for a parent going in, I think you want to see organization. But some parents want to see drills, round cones, and so on. Like, that's a waste of time for me.
Yeah. The structure for me as well, like going back to, so the question was, what should a tryout look like? Well, the start of it is, how do you register? Like, is it a professional way to register? Like, is it I send an email, or is there a platform to say I'm going to register for a tryout for me? Then the next part of it is, what is the communication prior to tryout? Is there any communication? What does it tell you before? Is there information given to you that when you turn up on the day, this is the process, this is what has to happen? And then I think the day. What does the day look like? Well, when you get there, is it clear where you got to go? And is there a check-in? Like, are there staff around? Can you ask questions initially? Like, where am I going? Like, just simple stuff. And then...
Well, you've got the extremes, right? You've got the bigger, more organized, more professional clubs, and you've got the grassroots clubs. But even the grassroots clubs should have some kind of organization and structure. So there should be a tryout process. There should be a way to evaluate the players. There should be somewhere to ask questions. And if even a smaller club, a smaller town club, we run town clubs as well. We help them do their tryouts. We help them structure their program. And you're trying to help everybody at every level just understand this is not stressful.
Yeah.
Relax, ask all the right questions, get your checklist organized. And then the process can be really enjoyable. And it's youth sport, so it should be enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. And then on the field?
So it doesn't have to be like this.
On the field, how are they evaluating your kids? Like, we use a platform, so we prompt parents beforehand that our coaches are either going to be on their phone or they're going to be on an iPad, because that's how we're going to collate all the data from a tryout. What do they wear? Like, we use tryout pins. So everybody has their own number. We know who they are because of that number. We don't call them by that number. If your kid's getting called number 115 the whole time, like, that's a problem for me. Like, it's tough, but if you're going to speak to a kid, know what their name is and try and be as personable as possible. And then, what does it look like on a field? Is there kids not playing soccer for a percentage of time? Because if there is, It's not great. Or do you know why they're not playing soccer? Like we'll sometimes get to a tryout and say, you know what, we want to focus more on certain players and certain, it could be new players. And we could say, you know what, again, we've evaluated all our players for a year. The second tryout, they might not need to play. They got to be there.
Yeah.
But they might not need to play. Like we've already evaluated those players. So internally, like, I feel like a lot of parents think it's just that even if you're in that club already and it's internal, this is your last chance to get onto the next team. And it's not. Like, that's not the tryout environment if you're within a club already. And then I think one of the biggest things for me is what does it look like? Like, you look at a field, how many people are evaluating the kids? Like, are they understaffed?
Yeah.
Are they staffed to what you think they should be, or are they overstaffed? We'd love to say that my preference would be overstaffed.
Correct.
We want as many eyes there as possible. We want as many evaluators there as possible.
What about just from a straight up facility standpoint? From a parent perspective, is it turning you off that you're going through a trial, system where you're trying out at a bunch of different places, but it's just for the same club?
I think that's is that the parent? Like, that's up to the parent. They know the club. Like, there's not many clubs, not just on Long Island, but in the country, that have their own facilities. It's really tough.
I think that's hard though, right? Because again, not all clubs might have beautiful facilities in one location. So, you've got to do the best you can with what you have. And that's all people can hold you accountable to.
I think the trigger question for me as a parent on that is, if I do see a tryout list and it's at 2 locations or 3 different locations, it's not me ruling out the club because of that, but then it is a question. It spurns my mind to say, well,
travel,
what does training
logistics,
look like then?
schedule.
Like, that's when you ask, well, where am I training?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm training at this location one day, this location. If that's their answer, that you're training at a different location, that might be a determining factor on whether you play there or not. Geographics, right?
Yeah.
But they might turn around and say, well, our tryouts are spanned over this because these are the areas we capture, but you're going to train at this specific location. You ask that question. Now that's a much better answer for me, of course, as a parent.
Well, because the thing about facilities is that's going to impact your family life.
Of course, going
right?
forward.
And it's going to impact the club being able to schedule effectively. So that's a valid question as part of the checklist going into, once I've organized where do I want to go, why do I want to go there, then I've got a checklist of questions I might have in terms of when I get there to say, right, logistically, what is it going to look like for me? Where do I have to travel?
Yeah.
And, is that going to change often?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've got a couple of kids, that's hard to manage.
The broader question is, what does it look like for a year? In my mind as a parent.
All right, if I'm going to commit to the year, which is what you should be doing, right? You shouldn't be going, let's see how this goes, and try out somewhere else and wait for that and go there. And no.
But what does it look like? Like, is my training schedule going to be different if I play a full winter and spring season? Is my training schedule going to be different in the fall and the spring? Or is it going to be the same? Right? Do I know what the training schedule is going to be like in the spring and the fall? Do I know where I'm training in the winter? Right? I think if a club's doing it really well, and again, it's really based on whether they have good access to facilities again, but if they're doing it really well, you're going to know when you sign up, you're going to know by probably July in our region, because that's when the process goes through. You should know in July, early August, what it looks like for the full year. Shouldn't be bit part.
Yeah.
Right? Depending on the level of the club. Like, again, depending on the level that the kid's playing at.
Also, from our perspective, in the way we do it, you have a club official, a club director specifically talking to those parents at the tryout in person.
That's massive, because if you go to a tryout and you don't hear from anybody within the club, you don't have anywhere to ask questions, then that's a massive red flag for me in a tryout. There should be a parent meeting at a tryout for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be, this is our program, this is who we are, this is what we do. The finances should be broken down. The commitment should be broken down.
Coaching staff.
The coaching staff should be broken down for that age group. That is absolutely imperative to me. You leave a tryout and they haven't given you all of that information, it's a problem. And then, like we just said, there should be that parent meeting, but there should be access. If I'm at a tryout, I should be able to walk up to Eddie and ask him a question. I should be able to ask the table, if there's a table and they're doing a registration, should be able to ask them questions. And if that person can't relay the information, well, if I'm doing the registration and I don't know the answers to that, there should be direction to say, well, Eddie's your guy for that.
Yep.
Right. And there should be access. It shouldn't just be I go to a tryout and there's no access.
But going back to the stress of it again, it's about clarity. Clarity from the parents and the player, and then clarity from the club that you're trying out at. And then they have to align.
100%.
And then it's not stressful, then it's organized, and it should be quite straightforward. The stress of some parents then come in going, because again, that you might be desperate that my kid needs to be at this level right now. If they're not at this level right now, they've failed. Like, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
Like, this is a process over what? 10 years, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
People forget that. Like, player development still happens at 16, 17, 18, right? Like, yes, you want your stepping stones to be there. You want to be in the right environment, hopefully throughout, but it might not be perfect.
Yeah.
So, okay, be ready for that. It's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Should clubs prioritize player retention during tryout period or always trying to bring in new players? I mean, he just touched on it a little bit, right? Like, and we did throughout this entire episode, but what do we think? I mean,
short and sweet then. Player retention should be number one, 100%. No question about it. But you're always going to bring in new players. You always want to push the level. There's going to be reasons to bring in new players. You need depth. You need more players on a certain team, no doubt about it. And then there's going to be the case of, well, anybody who is in this environment is in a competitive environment. We're in a competitive environment. We have ECNL. We want to win our conference. We want to go to nationals.
Yep.
That's at this level. That's what people want to do. We have to make sure that our teams are competitive enough to give us a chance to do that. So there's always going to be people who come in, but there's not that many of those kids out there, right? That's the reality. It's not going to be 5, 6, 7 kids coming in. Most clubs at that level are lucky if they get 1, 2, 3, max 4 kids who we think can have an absolute impact at that level. And when you're at that level as well, our philosophy is almost at a point where there's no point in a kid coming into a top team if they can't have an effect on the starting 11. That's reality. What is the point of bringing somebody into a top team that's going to be another bench player?
Yeah.
Right? The reality is, can they challenge the top 11? Okay, and that's the same for movement.
Well, then the idea is that the strength and depth of the roster is constantly challenging each other. So then you've got a really good environment.
From within.
From 1 to whatever number on a roster, if you get it as close as you can, you've created a really good environment, and then the environment drives itself.
Yeah.
So that's the goal of the club. So going back to retention over new players, if our job is, yes, we want to win, we want to compete, we want to play at whatever level we're at, but then you got to tie it into player development of saying, are the players getting better every year? But is that based on the environment? So if let's say you got 15 on your roster, if 1 to 15 is too drastic of a gap, then it's hard to drive the top tier of the roster because the bottom end can't keep up. It's hard to develop the bottom player because he's out of his depth. So now he's struggling. So that's where movement has to come in, right? So it's retention is key because the players understand your club and your vision and where you're trying to get them. So it goes back to that question, what am I trying to get out of the game? Okay, well, I want to get there. Okay, can I get you there? How are we going to get there? Right? And then I'll look at the team environment because it's a team game. I got to now look at the team. Is the team solid enough to develop that player in that environment? And that to me goes back to the question. Yeah. So do you look to bring new players in every year? You do. Is that your priority? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But you have to look to bring some new kids in to constantly drive the environment, to say, don't get complacent here. This kid's coming in. This is a good player. He's coming in. We've just changed the level again. We've changed the thought process again. So now we drive it again for another year. So it goes back to the process again. It's not just chop and change every year. For what reason? Why?
Yeah.
Everything should have a reason why you're doing it.
It ties in a bit What's your advice on player movement within the club? Should parents be panicking if their son or daughter gets moved to a different team?
I mean, we covered this a little bit, right?
We did.
For me, this just it completely comes back to, is the club transparent enough? I think also take a step back from the club. As a parent, do you know where your kid falls right now? Because we look here and we say, we split it up into 3 categories, right? We say 20%, 60%, 20%. Does that make 100? Yeah, that makes 100. 20% are impact players.
Yeah.
Right? They're players who are always,
Correct.
they're always at the top of the roster. They're kids that are playing majority of the minutes. Then you've got 60% of the roster who are playing good minutes, but could be in and out of the starting lineup. And then you've got 20% who are...
But where you use the word panic. When does
parents
panic? When does panic come in?
If communication lines...
Is terrible.
you
Panic
don't know
for
where you
me
are.
is insecurity.
Yep.
Right? Like, if I'm going to panic about something, it's probably because I don't know, or I'm scared, or whatever, right? So, okay, what are you panicking about? It's your kid playing a sport, right? If you don't understand, then you got to educate yourself. If you don't understand, you got to ask questions, right? But again, there shouldn't be panic. It goes back to, this should not be stressful. It is stressful because people make it stressful because they live their lives stressfully.
Yeah.
Right, like it
They
goes
live
way
their life through their kids.
right,
They
but
live their life through the soccer
they panic
environment.
to go, oh my god, my kid's not going to be on that team anymore. Life's over. Right? Okay, well,
I think that
that's not panic. That's not stress.
In that sense, they panic more in examples where communication is not clear.
100%.
Right? Or yeah, they don't understand. Right? Okay, you're moving my kid. But their friends are on that team. Right? Let's be really clear on the question. Right? Because parents panic when they go. My kid, you're going to move him off the team and that's all their friends, right? Well, okay, what if I move your kid up? Right? We've talked as a director group with other directors of other clubs. Parents will always move the kid. If they get an opportunity to move up a level, that's not your friends
Away from
anymore,
their friends,
right? Hold on a minute. So let's be clear. That's not your friends anymore, right? But hold on a minute. You're going to move my kid down a level because they're struggling. They're struggling to keep up in the environment. They're not quite hitting it. But now you bring up the friendship part, that they're my best friends on that team, right? Like that to me is where you're not understanding and you're not willing to understand and you don't really want to understand. So
it's a competitive environment. This isn't, we're not talking about local clubs now. Like we're talking about a competitive environment.
Yeah. But again, panic comes from, if you don't have clarity on what you're doing, right? So again, this episode is about tryouts. It's about parents trying to help you understand this time frame of the year in youth soccer and this process. But don't panic. Go do your homework and sit down and write it down if you have to, and ask the right questions and understand the timing. So when May comes around for us every year, you should know what's going to happen in May.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to panic.
If your kid's not playing a lot, or your kid is at the end of the roster, like one, you should obviously realize that. Mm-hmm. 2, instead of panicking at tryout time, have those conversations before. Speak to coaches, speak to club directors, and say, this is where I feel like my kid is right now. What's going to happen going into the next year? Because if they can't answer that question, and again, if they can't be honest, if I know my kid is on the bench every time and they're getting 10 minutes, a half hour, 45, or whatever the time is,
you're putting the pieces together.
I'm a parent. Like I know that my kid is struggling on that team for whatever reason. So my question then is, well, I'm getting it through in my head, and I'm speaking to my child, and I'm saying, like, I'm asking them questions first, like, how do you feel? Like,
prepare them.
Do they want to play more minutes? Like, it again, we go back to this shock value. You as a parent should not be shocked if your son or daughter gets moved down a team or get moved up a team. You shouldn't be shocked. And then your job as a parent, in my mind, is also to prep your kid for that as well. Like, have a level of reality with your kid that if there was a move one way or the other, and it's obviously easier to go up a team, that your kid's not going to be absolutely devastated and broken down and lose love for the sport because you haven't had that conversation beforehand, and there isn't a level of realism that you teach your kid to say, this could happen, right?
Yeah.
This could happen. There's no guarantees. If you want to play at this competitive level, at this competitive club, there's no guarantees you're going to be on the same team from 5 years old to 18.
But going back to tryouts again, right? Okay, so the clarity in the checklist, the pyramid probably has 4 tiers, let's say, right? Professional tier, competitive, elite, premier, whatever you want to put on it, but competitive tier in a national platform. A more local competitive environment, right? Like for us, an RL standard is still a regional platform, very competitive,
still reasonably national,
right? Yeah, it is. But again, college bound, right? Yeah. Then you've got a level below that, which we still send, in our club, in EDP team, kids still go to college and play in college. Oh, yeah. There's a place for that player, but you're not an ECNL level player, right? You're not an MLS Next homegrown. You're not an NYCFC Red Bull level player. So again, if you can educate yourself on that,
and then underneath that,
you don't stress and you don't panic, right?
Well,
and then when you are being moved or when you are having a conversation, no matter where you get moved within the pyramid, it's going to probably be somewhere close. No matter what club you go to, you're in that environment, which means you can get to where you want to get from that team. It might not be the team you want to be on, but you're still a part of
and then the reality
that
is,
world.
If you're in a club, let's choose a level. Let's say you play MLS Academy, right, which is the second tier of MLS, and you're not thriving in that environment. You're not excelling. And you go to another club who either has the same platform or has ECNL, you're generally going to play at the same level in that club, in that environment as you were before, because that's your level, right? Kids are at a certain level. They're not going to go somewhere else and blow it apart and say, oh, wow, I was a rec player and now I'm going to go to the top level. It's generally not going to happen.
Yeah.
There's got to be a process to get to the highest level.
Yeah.
And a lot of players aren't going to get there. That's reality.
No matter how long you play.
You could play all your life. You could be in the same club for 15 years. It doesn't mean that you're going to get to the top level within that club.
Yeah.
Trajectory it's not as simple as that.
I think kind of in summary, right? Like one of the first things we said here was like the stress factor, the nerve-wracking feeling, right? I think that shock, that nervousness from a parent perspective or player perspective comes for 2 reasons, right? If they're surprised by the wherever it might be within the club that's not being direct to you and honest and clear with the communication, meaning you just drop a bomb on somebody without having that conversation first, or it's to that point that you made, the insecurity, the naivety about it, right? Like if you still have that conversation and there's still a shock afterwards, then it's more so the education piece where, they have to probably look themselves in the mirror and go, what am I really stressed about right now? Mm-hmm. Because if the communication is clear, upfront and honest, there shouldn't be a shock ever. And I know both of you were saying about, how this doesn't feel like a stressful time period, right now after going through it so many times. I mean, this is my 8th year doing it. I don't feel either because of the standard of, I remember in the first couple of years, I think it was 2020, 2019-2020 season. And I just wanted to make people happy. So it was all about fluff. It was all about and that's what I did. I'm just being honest. So it was just about, Anton's go and talk to these parents and make sure, okay, I did it. And then it's just saying everything is great and there's no clarity. There's no upfront. And then you told me straight up, you said, regardless of what the outcome is, you just have to be upfront and honest with them.
100%.
And that's something that...
Yeah, we all learn that, I think, over time.
At the end of the day, if there isn't clarity, it just causes you more problems as an organization, as a coach, as a team. That's the key. It's tough. We went through this last night. We had a meeting last night, and there's coaches within that we know are gonna have a tough time talking to
getting that clarity,
and being completely clear with them, because like you said, it was a progression for you as a coach, right? As a coach and as a person, it was 8 years ago. It was a really, really difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
But the reality is in every club, there needs to be honesty, transparency, because if there is that, the club itself, forget parents and players, the club is going to be more successful if there is clarity and transparency.
Well, people trust you more, right? And then there's
whether they like that information.
It's a
or
bit
not.
more authentic in terms of who you are and what you're trying to do. Right?
100%.
There's nothing fake about it. This is life in the youth soccer world in our region. This is what it looks like. We've been here 20 years now, so it's not drastically changed.
Maybe if some people see us physically in the tryout, process, they can come say hi, talk about the podcast a little bit.
What up?
Are we famous yet?
No, not yet.
We're not famous.
We got a little ways to go. But either way,
Is that your goal?
I'm going to be honest. I think I'm more famous than you two.
Oh,
Because most of the clips that came out the last one, come on.
I do have to say, about the data that we shared in the beginning, the most percentage watched of episode 1 was the beginning part of all of us talking about our boring stories.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was completely bored
Yeah.
sitting here.
I couldn't sit through his again.
I'm always intrigued by people's history, though.
Yeah.
Right, like when you meet people,
the way they got into the.
I listen to podcasts, right? And I want to know.
He's boring.
I want to. Yeah, but you want to know who you're listening to.
I'm always
surely.
intrigued by history.
People's history, not just
my
history.
God, just clip that.
I have to.
And just
I
put
have
it on. I'm intrigued by history.
You just came on and went, I meant to be famous.
Are we famous yet?
Are we famous yet? Have I made it to the top yet? No, and you never will, dude. How's about that?
He just cares
I'm
about his
okay.
clips.
In your podcast tryout, you're going to be at 15 years at the same level. You're going to be at the same level, whether it's now or 20 years from now.
On the podcast, where are you two going to be there?
We'll listen to you bore everybody.
All right. Well,
All right, history buff.
I think that wraps up episode 2. Like, comment, subscribe, share, follow, do all those good things, and we'll keep this going. And we'll see the new socks you have for episode 3.
I think that's going to be the theme.
Who sponsors this podcast?
That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Our founding sponsor, we'll say thanks again to LENDSAAS. Yeah, we love those guys over there. Thanks again for everything. And, the final third podcast to the moon.
Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Peace.
Next episode.
Juicy next episode. That's all I can say.
All right.
We'll talk about that soon, but definitely a tasty one coming up. Very tasty.
Beautiful.
Good?
Teaser
Coming out soon. Peace.
Don't stress.
Say peace out, please.
Peace out.